My name is Nona, and I'm here to affirm that minors should have the consent of their parents in order to receive an abortion. So, I personally have a story where I was a minor seeking an abortion, and my mom intervened. And I thought at that time that I was old enough and mature enough to make that decision. And I can see back now that it was really having the help of my mom and the guidance of my mom that helped me through making my decision to actually not go through with my abortion. And I'm really grateful for that. And so that kind of gave me some passion to pick this topic. There are a lot of states right now that don't require any consent for a minor. They can just walk into an abortion clinic and receive an abortion with no sort of checks and balance system. And I just think that there should be a system in place to help protect these minors when they're seeking these procedures. I'm not here to argue whether abortions are right or wrong. I personally agree that should be the choice of the woman who is having the baby or seeking the abortion. I am here to affirm that minors should need consent of a parent or a guardian or a judicial bypass in order to receive an abortion. So we see in society a lot where we put age restrictions or consent of parents in order to have things done. So things like piercings or tattoos, voting, gambling, all these things, the law has decided that you must be 18 or older in order to do them. And the reasons why they say that is because typically you're not fully mature until you're 18 or 21. And there is data that shows that neuroscientific and behavioral studies show that our brain continues to develop into the mid-20s, particularly in the decision making and impulse control areas. And so it's important that we allow for time for the brain to mature in order for the person to be able to make the best informed decision. In 2005, the Supreme Court ruled it's unconstitutional to execute individuals who were under the age of 18 at the time of their crime. They found that minors had underdeveloped brains and are more susceptible to peer pressure and lack maturity. And so if we're allowing for some sort of flexibility and requirement in the law, I think that we should also put stipulations and have some sort of checks and balance system for these minors to keep them protected. Because I often don't think we think of it as the minors are maybe being put in unsafe situations. There are many reasons why it is beneficial for parents to be involved in these abortion decisions. Minors are known for being impulsive in their decision making, and caretakers can help facilitate a well-informed critical decision, one that they might not come to on their own if they don't have all the information at hand. And are these abortion clinics providing all the information at hand to these minors? Because often they're privately funded, and if they're motivated by the money that they're receiving for the abortion, they might not have the patient's moral values at heart. They might just have their own motivations at heart. And so protecting these minors is really important because they're very vulnerable in these situations. And oftentimes I think that they're just really ashamed and looking for a quick fix. But with all the information and with some time to think about things, they might make a different decision. And if they don't make a different decision, that's okay too. But having somebody who is over the age of 18, who can be considered a guardian or a caretaker, who can sit with them and who can counsel them and who can make sure that they understand what's really going on is so important, so that these children aren't just being left to the wolves per se, because these decisions are lifelong decisions. It's not that we're talking about not just a temporary thing, we're talking about a permanent solution. And when we think about a tattoo, we think about putting something permanent on our body. They require you to be 18 in order to do that. So data does show that there are irreversible mental health issues that affect women who have had abortions. This data is for grown adults, and so I would argue that the numbers would be higher based upon if they did the studies on minors. So it states that Charlotte Lozier Institute did studies that shows exposure to each abortion increases risk of mental health disorder by 23%. It also shows that women who had abortion were 37% more likely to suffer from depression and anxiety, and 130% greater likelihood of suffering from substance abuse issues and lifestyles that are risky, engaging in risky behaviors. Something else I want to talk about is, what if something goes wrong medically when these young girls are on the tables in these abortion clinics? So if their parents are not informed and their parents aren't consenting to this, who's going to essentially step up if something happens to this child? Is the clinic going to be held responsible? Are the parents able to sue the clinic for wrongful death? Without the proper information and the full medical records for these clinics to be making these decisions that it's even medically okay to operate on a child, without the parent consenting to it, if something happens, who's held responsible? And so again, it comes back to the safety. And if people are arguing that if there's an unsafe situation at home and these children shouldn't have to wait in order to get an abortion, these judicial bypasses are there for these types of situations. And if waiting, a couple of days, a week or two is so dangerous in this abortion process, then maybe we should be reconsidering this abortion process in itself if it's so dangerous. So in schools and daycares, written consent is required in order to administer Tylenol. So I would argue, how are we administering abortions without parental consent?